皆さん、こんにちは。リアニです。そして今日は IELTS Writing Task 1 Academic を話しましょう。Today, we're going to learn on how to write an introduction and the proper vocabulary words to use in this writing module of the IELTS. In the previous video, you have learned that you've learned the 4 components that you are graded on in the IELTS writing. And you also know the different features in how each of the graphics look like. So let's get started. Hajimimashou. So in the academic part of the writing, in academic writing of the IELTS, a lot of students tend to get nervous when they see a graph like this. So how are they going to make an introduction? That's what each and every student wonder. So first of all, as you can see, this is a sample. Okay, this is a line graph, right? There are lines here. So this is our first sentence. This is the pattern. Okay, this, and here, graphic. Okay, so infographics we talked about. You can write here probably a pie graph, a pie chart. What else do we have? A line graph, the one that we have below, or a bar graph perhaps, table, or a flow chart. Okay? So this is what you're going to fill in here. So this will be like, in this case, this is a line graph, so we are going to say this line graph, okay? Pie chart, or you can say this pie chart, this bar graph, this table, or this flow chart. So it depends on which one you get. So of course you already know the feature, how each look like. Plus, verb. So it should be in the present tense. So what are the appropriate verbs to use in this case? So we could probably say plus. Okay, plus. You can say demonstrate. Okay. So this is in the present tense. Okay, demonstrates. You can say illustrates. What else do we have? We can say shows. Okay, simple, very simple. Shows. It demonstrates. It illustrates. It shows. It lists. It represents. What else? So this line graph plus the present tense of the verb, let's say, okay, simple, shows. So this will be like this. This line graph shows about the, okay? Or you can say this line graph demonstrates. This line graph illustrates. This line graph lists. This line graph represents. So say for instance, it's a pie chart. This will be, this pie chart shows about the, okay? And here is your topic. So what is the topic here? As you see, the x-axis and we have the y-axis, okay? In the x-axis, you see the year, 1995, 2000, year 2005, and 2010. Here we have in the y-axis international tourist arrivals, and it shows in millions. Okay? 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. And the legend, we have the black line. The black line represents Japan. So these are the Japanese tourists. The red one shows Americans, USA. And the blue represents China, or Chinese international visitors. So, yes, as you can see here. So, topic is our, of course, international tourist arrival. So, we can put it here. Okay? International tourist, let's say, arrival. So, in this case, it varies depending on which one you get. Say, for instance, this line graph shows about the sales of like cars in a particular year. You have here the year. Also, the year or the time range we will talk in the second sentence. So we will discuss that later. So this is our first sentence. this line graph shows about the international tourist arrivals. Okay, it's very simple. You can say this pie chart demonstrates about the sales of cars in Japan. Like that. So it's very clear. Now, you have to take note of the information of the y and the x-axis. That is very important. So in our second part of the introduction, which is our second sentence, we have two ways on how to write them. You can choose either ways, whether the first part, this first sentence pattern, or the second one. So here, topic. So we were talking about international arrival, tourist arrival. So we can put it here. For instance, you can say the international tourist arrivals. Okay. It could be sales in Japan or sales of cars in Japan. It could be number of units sold, depending on which one you get, okay? Plus the verb. So as you notice, doshi, okay? Verb, doshi no kakoke. This is the past tense of the verb. So below we have the describing movements of our graphs. So say for instance, if your graph shows that it's increasing, so you notice here, this is past tense, let's say increased. So the international tourist arrivals increased between, this is the time range. We have 1995 to, until when? Let's say 2010. So this is our second sentence. It will be, the international tourist arrival increased between 1995 to 2010. Second way on how to write it, let's just use this. There was, so of course it's important, a or an. So verb changed to noun. So our verb used here is increased. So how do you change increased verb into a noun? So of course this will be increase. So there was an increase. There was an increase of what? What's your topic all about? So we were talking about international tourist arrival. International tourist arrivals between, okay, the time range 1995 to 2010. So let's read the two sentences. First, the international tourist arrivals increased between 1995 to 2010. Or you can say there was an increase of international tourist arrivals between 1995 to 2010. So the topic is here. This varies depending on what you get. Here, topic is here on the second blank. And then followed by the verb, the past tense of the verb. So in this case, we use the word increased. Here in the second pattern, instead of using the verb, we change it into its noun form. So the increased became increase. So because we make use of their was, okay. Plus time range, and also here from 1995 to 2010. Okay. So let's try to describe the movements of our graphs. First, we have increasing graphs. Okay, we are talking about line graphs or either bar graphs in this case. So this is your x, y axis. So if it is increasing, of course, rising up here. Okay, very obvious, it's increasing. In this case, you may use these words or vocabulary. We can say increased, went up, climbed, jumped, rose. So here in our sample, the international tourist arrivals, instead of using increased, you might as well use went up. Okay? the international tourist arrival went up. Went up. The international tourist arrivals climbed, okay, or jumped, rose. Now we have decreasing, okay. Obviously, it also means decreasing. So we use this here. So XY axis, decreasing. So from a high point to a low point, decreasing. So what are the vocabulary words that you can use when it's decreasing? You can say decreased, declined, went down, dropped, or slumped. Okay? Either way, you can use either of these alternatives. So for example, if it decreased, you can say the sales of cars in Japan declined between 1990 to 2000. Or there was a decline of car sales in Japan between 1990 to 2000. Okay, that example. Third one, we have a steady line. Okay, here. So our y-x axis. Okay, this, as you can see, this part here, steady, so it remained stable. This is what you call a plateau. Okay, you can use either remains steady, it remains steady, it remains stable, or how do you change this to a noun? It will become plateau. So you can say, let's make a sample, the international tourist arrivals, or you can say any other topic, whichever you get, remained steady between 1995 to 2010. Second pattern, there was a plateau of car sales in Japan between 1990 to 2010. Okay, so these are very important words to use in making your second sentence of your introduction. So, another thing to do. So, another thing to do is to make use of adjectives and adverbs. So, adjectives or keiyoshi, adverbs fukushi. So, 形容詞と副詞を文と使って良くなるから。例えば、for example, we have adjective like significant. So you can add this like it will be there was a significant decrease or increase. Steady, we can make use of the word steady. So a steady increase, a steady decrease. Dramatic or sudden. You can say there was a sudden increase, a sudden decrease. Okay, so these are sample of adjectives, possible adjectives to use. We can also make use of adverbs. For example, significantly, steadily, dramatically, suddenly. For instance, you say sales suddenly dropped. You can say sales significantly increased, or sales dramatically dropped. Okay? So these are very important tips to follow. We made a good introduction, and I hope that you'll follow this. We have learned how to write in this part of the video. In our next video, we are going to tell you and show you what to write. So, 皆さんありがとうございました. See you next time. またね.